Welcome back. Lawmakers in Kansas have approved an aggressive bond package to lure the Kansas City Chiefs football team and the Kansas City Royals baseball team to new stadiums in Kansas City, Kansas, just across the border from their current stadiums in Missouri. Well, current Governor Mike Parson is working on a plan to keep the teams from leaving, but the issue may be decided by the next governor. Here again is Secretary of State Ashcroft.
I think what I should do as governor is I should make Missouri a state where individuals, where companies, where pro sports teams want to be. We do that by prioritizing education. We do that by prioritizing public safety. We do that by reducing taxes and regulation, getting rid of the state income tax. But I'm not going to take money out of your pocket to give it to some billionaire. And you know, people say, oh, it works. It doesn't. I remember the St. Louis Cardinals football team. I remember when St. Louis had a basketball team. I remember the St. Louis Rams football team. It doesn't work, and it's not right for government to take your money and give it to someone else.
If Joe's Widget Manufacturing is located in Kansas City and produce an incredible economic benefit for the Jackson County and the regional area, and they wanted to move somewhere, everybody and their brother would be figuring out how to keep Joe's Widget Manufacturer there. The fact that this particular business is called Chiefs and/or Royals, it's tried to create this whole new level of conversation. I think we have to look at it always, always, always as a good investment for the taxpayer and a good return on the investment, and find out what economic development tools we would use for any business to stay in our state to make sure those two businesses stay here.
Whenever I hear this question, I immediately think to myself that I just can't believe that $12 for a hot dog or $18 for a Budweiser is not enough for these billionaire owners. And I got to tell you, if there's $1 billion laying around somewhere that some politician in Jefferson City thinks is okay to send to a stadium for these billionaire owners, I'd much rather see that $1 billion go towards getting rid of personal property tax. And if we want to help not just the Kansas City Royals, but the Kansas City Chiefs and every other business within the confines under the state borders of this great state of Missouri, let's do those things that's going to encourage them to stay here without having to offer them these economic development bribes, which is exactly what they are, and getting into these border wars with our neighboring states.
Now to the ever-changing polls and fundraising trends in this race. In a span of 6 months, polls have gone from showing Mr. Ashcroft with a commanding 20-point lead to showing the race is a toss-up among all three candidates. But nearly 40% or more of likely Republican voters remain undecided. I asked the candidates about polls and fundraising. Lieutenant Governor Kehoe says he had outraised the other two combined by a close to 2-to-1 margin when the month began.
The competitors who are upset with that, I got voicemails from most of those donors that had my competitors calling them asking them for donations 4 or 5 months ago. So I think it's a little bit of sour grapes that they didn't get the donation from whoever that person was, and maybe I did. And I think the real thing you have to concentrate on is people are investing in our message, whether it's a large donor or a small dollar donor. They're investing in what we think the vision is for Missouri.
We've seen the guy that's been the leader to this point, Jay Ashcroft, has hemorrhaged more than 2/3 of his support. I remember the first poll that came out 2 years ago had him above 50%. So now he's down in the lower 20s. We're also seeing a tremendous number of undecideds. By every poll that I've seen over the past months, we've seen a lot of decideds. There's almost 50% of the Republican electorate that's undecided in this race. And really, the only two candidates that the Republican electorate is familiar with are the ones that either have name ID prior to this race or have already spent $6 million, both Mr. Kehoe and Mr. Ashcroft, and they haven't closed the deal.
We've had 3 months of TV attacking us with things that just aren't true. You would expect that the polls would close. What I think is amazing is that the people of the state endured 3 months of, frankly, false attacks, and we're still in the lead. It's because they know the Ashcroft name, they understand the public service aspect of my family and what I've done, and now that our ads are up to let the people know the truth, we're very confident about the direction of this race.
Finally, we want to share the candidates' answers to the very first question I asked all three of them. What best describes their governing style? The kind of governor they hope to be.
I think Missourians are looking for solutions. They're looking for that bold, decisive leader that's not going to listen to all these voices of the status quo and the special interests down in Jefferson City. They don't care what our last name is. They don't care how much money that we're getting from these special interests. They want to know what kind of Missouri the leader of our state is going to lead every person in the state, every one of the 6 million people that live here, towards a future where we know that we're going to be leading this country.
I want to be an executive that calls people to their best and their highest. So many, quote, politicians want to just communicate through TV ads. You can't listen. And if you really want to govern, if you want to lead this state and serve the people, you've got to listen to them, understand what they're going through, and it's different across this state, and then make decisions that work for all the people of Missouri.
Well, I'm a relationship person, so as governor, I'll build relationships in the legislature. Sometimes that's going to be with people that don't agree with me or have the same point of view. I really do think that Missourians want a governor that actually gets something done. And with my small business background, what I've done in 35 years of small business, that's the type of governor I want to be, more business-minded and more results-focused.
Up next, political analysis on all we've just heard from Democrat consultant Michael Kelly and Republican consultant Gene Evans.